Hey, everybody. Dennis Tooley here with the MS Warriors Way podcast, and wanted to stop in and try to provide a bit of maybe a bit of a challenge, but more trying to be a point of encouragement and hopefully give you some encouragement to thrive in spite of the MS. I know that concept of thriving with MS kind of seems counterintuitive to some folks because, well, the disease seems to have a way of trying to drag you down. Well, today I wanted to share with you 7 keys to thriving with MS. First of all, the first key I think that helps us to thrive with MS is to use MS, or think of it as a motivator more than an excuse. And by that I mean you have to have the mental aptitude to say, you know what, I'm going to find ways to use how MS is affecting me. I'm going to use it to help me get motivated to become a better person. I'm going to use it to motivate me. If you look for ways to find the motivation from the changes in your life, become a better person in spite of those changes, you'll find ways to overcome. But if you're looking for excuses, they're everywhere, and you won't have to look very hard. So the first key, I think, to thriving with MS is to use MS as a motivator, not an excuse. The second key to thriving with MS, I believe, is to get active in a very positive support group. Now, if you don't have a support group, start one. There's all kinds of resources. The National MS Society has resources. The MS Foundation has really good resources, and they can help you walk through some training in terms of how you coordinate a group and all of that. So if you don't have one in your area, start one. If there's one in your area, get involved. Now, my caveat to that is you've got to check the group out. And hopefully, if you're starting one, you'll start it with the intention of keeping it positive. I know stories of people who've gone to an MS support group and they're like, well, all they wanted to do was complain and complain. And, I can understand you not wanting to be part of that, because we don't need negativity. We need positivity. And so if you don't have a positive group in your area, then start your own group and keep it focused on the positive and lift each other up, encourage each other, and be there and challenging each other through thick and thin, through the good days, through the bad days. We know they exist, but we don't have to let them control us. So be active in a very supportive, positive support group. The third key to thriving with MS, I think, is to cut yourself some slack. I mean, seriously, we all know that we have those days where the energy is gone. The fatigue has drained us. Okay, so cut yourself a break. Give yourself the permission to take days where I'm not going to accomplish anything today. Okay, I'm going to give myself permission to be okay with that. And in the process, I'm not pushing and making myself feel bad. And psychologically, I'm getting on my, in the back of my head and taking myself down because I'm having a bad day. Now, if you continuously say, well, I'm having a bad day, I'm going to stay having bad days, I'm just going to always have bad days. well, maybe you need to change your focus a little bit so you don't allow yourself to dwell there. But when you wake up and you have one of those days, cut yourself some slack and be okay with, you know what? I don't have to do everything. I don't have to go everywhere. I don't have to be everything to everybody today. Today, I'm just going to relax. I'm going to kick back. I'm spending some time recuperating and building some energy, and I'm okay with that. Allow yourself to have those days. Now, I say, don't dwell there forever, but allow yourself to have those days. So again, the first key is use MS as a motivator, not an excuse. Second key, be active in a positive support group. Third key, cut yourself some slack. And then the fourth key, modify to maximize. Now, when I say that, what I mean is modify your routine, modify the things that you want to accomplish or you used to be able to do. Maybe you can't do it the same way, so modify how you need to get to accomplishing the things that you need to accomplish. Make modifications in just little things. Now, personally, I struggled for a long time for even allowing myself to walk with a cane because, well, I'm still strong enough. I can do that. I don't want people looking at me funny. And then I wouldn't let myself. I was too proud to let myself get on a scooter or a wheelchair. And I may have shared the story on a different episode of the MS Warriors Way podcast about the time when I was doing an event in Chicago, and I took my wife and my son with me, and we were going around and seeing some things from when we lived in Chicago before my son was born. My wife and I lived up there, and we were showing him some of the stuff, and he was like, "Can we go do that? And can we go do that?" And pretty much every time he said, "Can we go?" my response was, "Well, there's a lot of walking in that, and so I don't know if I can do all of that." And from the back seat of the car, I hear this very soft, he was talking under his breath, but I heard him say it, very small voice said, "I hate MS. We don't get to do anything anymore." Oh man, that cut me to the quick. That was when I realized I needed to modify my attitude and my own pride that allows me to utilize some of the assistive devices that are out there so that I could do something. So find those things that you need to modify, make those modifications so that you can maximize the times when you are feeling good and you're able to do something, you're getting the most out of it. So make any changes, modifications that you need to make so you can maximize your time. The next key, I think, is to journal your journey. By that, I mean, if you keep track and keep a journal of how things are going and just make notes each day of, hey, today was a really good day, had lots of energy. Today I was able to go for a walk, or, just keeping track of those things. It helps that you are realizing what's going on and you're keeping track of it. And you can go back on those days when you say, man, I'm always feeling down. Well, you can go back and look. No, I'm not. I have a journal of days that I talk about all of the good things I was able to accomplish. I also have a journal that tells me, yeah, I have those days, and it goes back to that third key where I cut myself some slack, and I was able to show myself, you know what, I do have those days, but I don't dwell and I don't beat up myself. I cut myself a little bit of slack. So I'm keeping a journal of all of those things, and it allows you to see how much you really do accomplish, even when you feel like you're not accomplishing much. So the next key I think is treat your energy like an ATM. I remember there were times when my son was little, and he'd say, "Can we go do this?" And I said, "Well, I don't know if we have the money for that right now." He said, "Well, can't we just go to the machine and get some?" Well, no, that's not how it works. But sometimes that's how we treat our energy. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to use this energy up, and I'm just going to go up because I can get more energy. I can just go to the ATM and get some more energy. We know we can't. And so if you don't save energy, you're not going to be able to take it out of the ATM. So think about the things, what do you have to accomplish? What are mandatory? And plan to have, to use energy for that, knowing ahead of time that's going to take energy. If I don't put money in the bank, I can't go to the ATM and take it out. If I don't put a plan in place knowing I'm going to need to use energy for something, and I'm going to have to, maybe I'm going to have to take an extra nap the day before, or I'm going to sleep in the day before, or however you have to save it, going in, you got to save that energy, and you got to think about that. For me, part of it was, and this goes back to modifying and maximizing. When I realized that it took a lot of my energy to walk long distances, I realized how much it made sense for me to use a wheelchair to get those long distances so that I could do something when I got there. I was saving my energy, so I wasn't taking overdrafting at the ATM. So think of your energy like getting something from the ATM. The last key I think is keep your brain sharp. And how do you do that? Um, Spend some time each day doing something that works the brain. Um, I'm not big on crossword puzzles, but there are some of those game type things that you can do uh, that you actually have to think and do a little bit of strategy and planning and thinking, and it's in those things that you do where you have to make yourself think that you're helping keep your brain a little sharper. If you allow yourself to just get real lethargic in your thinking, then when those high fog factor days come in and we get a little bit of MS fog, then oh man, that's gonna, I can't think straight. Oh, I don't. So do things, read, and when I say read, don't just read books, that, okay, I'm going to go read the comic books. Read something that's challenging you to think and to become a better person, you know? Um, so anything you can do that'll keep your brain sharp. Now, if you enjoy crossword puzzles, those are great. Memory games are really good exercises. And if you go on to any one of the app stores, whether it's Google Play or Apple Store or whatever, I'm sure you can find a lot of uh, or I shouldn't say toys, games or things like that that are on your phone that will help you keep your brain sharp. Just exercise your brain. So at the end of the day, if you'll work on doing these things and saying, you know what, I'm going to use these keys so that it helps me thrive with MS. I don't have to let MS control me. I don't have to let MS run my day. I don't have to let MS ruin my day. I'm going to make the most of it. 7 keys to thriving with MS. Use MS to motivate you, not make excuses. Be active in a positive support group. Cut yourself some slack. Modify to maximize. Journal your journey. Treat your energy like an ATM and keep your brain sharp. You work on those things, and I guarantee you'll be on your path to thriving in spite of the monster. And you'll be doing it the warrior's way.